Okay guys, this is Daniel from EDELRID Knowledge Base and we're at the EDELRID headquarters today. With me is Johnny.
Yo.
And we're talking about how to use fuses in a single line Reeves setup. So Johnny, you have to walk me through the setup because I'm not the man of the practice.
Sure.
So will you explain where to use such a Reeves situation?
All right, so this is a bit of a classic scenario. We use it both in moving casualties around and also moving equipment around, up and down and around on different scenarios for mostly installations and things like that. Now, obviously in this scenario, we only have one rope that is suspending our load, which means we need to establish some type of a backup system. One way that you can do that without sending down a whole other line is to actually use two backups on either side of the line. Now, obviously, depending on whether the line is being, or the load is being hoisted or lowered, is going to depend on the direction that the rope is passing through the fuses. This is actually really important because these fuses can be locked and unlocked and set into different modes. What we're going to show you here today is how to utilize a single line Reeves rig system with two fuses in a safe method. There's a couple variables that we'll have to address specifically, but nonetheless, we're going to show you how to do it right.
Perfect. Cool. So let's start with the setup. We install there.
So here we go. We have our system. Up top, we would have some kind of a hub moving back and forth, and we could utilize these two lines to either raise or lower our casualty. So we're going to take our backups and we're going to install them on the line above the pulley on either side. Just like this. Now you'll see here in this scenario, both these fuses are unlocked, which means they can move around in trailing mode. Now we're just going to show you how the load can be both raised and lowered with the backups in place, and Daniel can do that on the winch. So Daniel's going to show us what it looks like when we're lowering our load down. Go for it. Pause. So in this scenario, you can see because rope is traveling up through the safety on this side, it gets pulled up into trailing mode. The rope is still moving freely. And then here, because it's holding position on the line until it hits the pulley, in this scenario, the safety, the backup has completely bottomed out on the pulley. Now, if we switch directions, you're going to see the fuses trade directions. Good. And as you can see now, we're getting a consistent result. Now, it's in this scenario here where we need to visit the possibility of a rope being cut. Now, there is a scenario where we cut the rope below on either side, below the safeties on either side of the pulley, or above the rope on either side of the pulley. And what we want to show you here today is that by utilizing one additional variable, specifically managing the fuses at either the beginning of the scenario or in the middle of the scenario, whenever you anticipate a change in direction, you can run this rig perfectly safely. So I'll have Daniel bring it back down to me and we'll zoom in on the fuses. All right, so now we have our load suspended and the plan is to hoist the load up. So what's important to note here is that we need to think about which direction the ropes are going to be traveling. If Daniel is hoisting, this will be the part of the rope that's ascending, meaning that this rope will technically be sliding down through this fuse. If that's the case, then we need to make sure that the side that's going to be traveling down through the fuse goes into the lock position. In this case, Daniel can continue to haul and this device will free spool up. So let's watch it happen. Good. Now, in the event that we needed to position our load, if Daniel did need to come down a little bit, we do have this much room, as long as this is not side loaded. We do have this much play in the system that we can work with if we did need to position a system or position a casualty into a slightly better spot, even if we didn't change the directions of the fuses. Now, we're going to switch the directions of the fuses, showing that the opposite side is now going to enter into ascent mode, and this side is now going to enter into lock mode. Now, what's important to note is when you do this, anticipate the direction that things are going to move and just make sure that one fuse on the side that's going to be traveling up is actually elevated. So in this case, he's going to be lowering, which means this rope is going to be ascending relative to the load, which means this device wants to be there. Go ahead. Perfect. So as you can see, by utilizing a selector switch on the fuses, which is easily reachable, we can safely move our casualty or our rigging up and down. Now, we should probably talk about what could happen if there was a failure in the system.
Okay, so Johnny, but in real life scenario, if this, in case this is a casualty, you would probably go with the person, right?
If this was a casualty, I would move with the person if I could, but initially we may end up having to attach a casualty and then send them up through a hole that maybe we don't fit through. Now in this case, you can see that I'm attached here, but we're gonna suspend a load.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't a casualty, in this case it's gonna be a load, and I'm just gonna show how I can manage the fuses while I'm riding along on a single line reeve, be it with a load or a casualty.
Okay.
I would just note that if it was a casualty, our rigging would be a little bit different here because we would need redundancy to suspend a live load.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in this case, we start with going up.
Yep.
Again, this line will move up, and you prepare the fuses.
Awesome, well that's super easy. All I need to do is make sure that the fuse that's traveling down the rope is in lock position. Let's watch it work. Okay, and actually Daniel, you can go up a little bit more. Awesome, well there. Now in this case, if we wanted to change direction, I'll be able to pull this fuse down. I can push this fuse up. The note here is that we change from locked to unlocked and we free up the cam, making sure that nothing is cross-loaded. And then on this side, we've transferred that into lock position. In this case, now I should be able to descend and watch the rope slide through the backups. Good. Just like that. Alrighty, so we were just in a hoisting scenario. We have a locked fuse and an unlocked fuse trailing. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna cut the rope in potentially the worst possible position below the backups, which would be here. As close to the pulley as we can get, allowing this much rope to then want to ride through the pulley and potentially get caught with the safety. We're gonna see what happens. It's also important to note my ropes are clear. I'm on my own independent system and I intend to get out of the way. Clear to cut?
Clear to cut.
Okay, so no surprise here. This side was locked beforehand because we were ascending on this side, but what's interesting to see is that this side caught as well. Good news, good result.
Okay, so this was our first setup, Johnny. We had actually it was boring because we cut here and we had a lock device on that side, so it's already
expected.
locked. It's clear that it will hold.
Yes.
So the worst case that I could imagine is that this one is full way up. This one is the lock device. I lock it directly.
Yep.
And now we cut here.
Yes.
And here we have now some 40 centimeters plus some extra 20 centimeters in here.
Yep.
Which gives us some 60 centimeters.
Yep.
Which is at the edge of where the fuse usually activates if you start from zero. So if everything is straight and loaded, and you let the mass drop, usually the fuse needs between 60 and 80 centimeters to activate.
Understood.
So in this case, it will be tight to activate the fuse if we cut directly here above the lock device.
Right. So one solution is to get more rope into the system before the absolute worst case scenario position of the rope getting cut. And one way we could explore is to place rope protection on top of the lock device, therefore
just to make sure,
guaranteeing
just some centimeters above the lock device are not.
Right. Now, one thing to consider is as the system changes direction, going up and down, we may want to consider fixing our rope protection to our fuse.
So even if we change direction, it will follow the fuse on the way down.
So I'm going to run this rope protection up the rope like this, and then the carabiner that is on the bottom will just clip into the arm on the fuse, which is not going to affect the way that it works. Now,
so
in this case,
we check what's happening if we go up.
Yeah. Perfect, and it bottoms all the way out. And then
follows.
And then in the event that things were to change, this would then move to an unlock position. This would then change to a lock position. It would ride down the rope and bottom and out. Here, we need to make sure that our rope protection doesn't do something funky. Yeah, good deal.
Okay, so the worst case in this scenario now is that the rope gets cut right above the rope protection.
Yeah.
Because here it can't be cut now, we have the rope protection there.
That's right.
So here we test it. In case it fails here, this one is locked easy. So the earliest place it could be cut is now above the rope protection.
Above the rope protection.
So we test what happens there.
Roger that.
All right.
Okay, so this is close to the worst case scenario in terms of the distance of rope, but truly worst case scenario would actually be there. Because if we cut here, it's locked. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? This is
here we cannot cut.
Here if we cut, this catches. Yeah. Here if we cut, it catches. Here if we cut, this catches.
So no.
But here if we cut with this here, we buy ourselves 40 extra centimeters of rope.
Yeah.
But this is what? 65 centimeters. So 65 centimeters.
You wanna try?
We have to.
Okay.
We have to cut it here. And then we know.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, let's try. Want to go a bit higher or get it?
I can reach it. Okay, ready to cut? If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so this was absolute worst case scenario. We cut directly above the rope protection.
Yep.
The activated device couldn't help anything because the rope is sliding through. The non-activated device we had positioned
bottom,
as low as possible.
Yep.
So that's absolutely worst case.
As close to the cut as possible.
As possible. And we see we still have a lot of leftover rope there. So in this combination, this setup, there is no chance, no point where the rope could possibly fail and overcome the activation time that the fuse needs to lock off the rope.
That's a nice margin.
There is some safety in it there.
It's an impressive margin when you consider that that's like 40 centimeters.
Yeah. I don't know where they come from.
Hey.
Nice one. Okay. Okay, but I mean in this setup then...
And
so the only
do we go one more time with the trailing one fully stretched out and see if for some reason there's an effect that we're missing? Because remember when we did it? Remember when we did it before?
Okay,
and it caught immediately?
The safety margin could be even lower because you know what happened now? The mass had time to accelerate.
Exactly.
Before the lanyard was stretched.
Exactly. Exactly. So we actually need to make it
as long as possible.
Better in terms of rope distance, but worse in terms of object
activation.
Speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Okay.
This...
Because if you're going to do it, it'd be best to be sure.
So right now we were in that position. Both devices were as close as possible to the pulley.
Correct.
We cut down here.
Yep.
But that means we have free fall until that lanyard is stretched.
Yes.
Which will accelerate the mass quite soon.
Yep.
And therefore the device will lock quite soon. So I think it could be even worse if this one is already stretched.
I agree.
So we have to start from 0 to accelerate the mass, and it might activate later.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens in this position.
I love it. Let's do it. All clear?
Ready to cut?
No problem.
No problem at all. Okay. So I think that way the setup is...
Yeah, it's unlocked. It grabs almost immediately.
Yeah. Was even better though.
And you know what it partially is too, is that the rope is recoiling.
Yeah.
So it's actually the rope, because this pair, it was here.
But I think if it gets a bit of a whip, that's probably the thing that needs to act. But we have plenty of rope left here.
Yeah, that's a nice margin.
Okay, Johnny, so we saw this is our most critical spot. So
Absolutely.
We cut here. We're not 100% sure to activate this device still in time.
Correct.
And the reason for that is, I don't know if you know the functionality of the device. So we have an accelerator in here. This is our sensor, which is measuring the speed.
Yep.
So we need to get to 2 meters per second. And then we have 2 actuators that are inside this wheel, which will activate the cam to close. So we have one spot here probably. So in case it measures the 2 meters per second exactly here, it will need another half turn to activate the camming shoe, and this will need another hundredth of a second to activate and grab the rope.
Understood.
In average, we need between 60 and 80 centimeters to activate the device if you start really from zero and all the line is stretched.
Right.
So to overcome this problem, or to reduce or to add some safety margin, I think the best is to move this as high as possible.
Yeah, take the worst case scenario and elevate it
exactly
by as much as you can that's realistic.
And in this case, I think what we suggest is to put rope protection above the lock device.
Yep.
So the earliest point where the rope could get cut is up here.
Yeah.
And this adds us some 60 centimeters of safety margin to have enough rope running through this device and activate it on time.
I love it.
So we fix the rope protector here.
Yep.
And now our worst case scenario is rope getting cut here.
Yeah, I love it.
Perfect.
Because realistically, we have a lock device. So at any time that a rope gets cut anywhere below this portion of rope, still counting as below here,
exactly,
this is already in a locked position.
So
what it all comes down to is the challenges that occur on this side. And by adding rope into the system, we increase our margin, the amount of rope that's available here for this to grab.
Exactly.
And honestly, the more that I look at it, why not have some rope protection above the system, especially if it's going to be traveling unattended?
Frankly speaking, I would prefer to have the rope protection there anyway,
right?
Because even knowing that the devices work, in case I cut my rope here, it will be a critical rescue scenario to get me out of this.
Exactly.
So it's always better to protect the rope in the first place and to prevent the occasion anyways.
Right, and if for an event I was riding on this and we were getting ourselves all the way up to our block, there's a high percentage chance that as this
might open.
Yeah, it is going to open. Yeah. In fact, we kind of want it to, but at that point, you should be clear of all of your hazards. And then from that scenario, you're going to be clipping back into the trolley, and then your team is going to be putting you where you need to go. I like it.
So after all these tests, Johnny, we found we're going up. So this is the line going up.
Yep.
Which means this one is the lock device.
Correct.
This one is the traveling mode.
Yep.
Okay, so we found whenever we cut on that side, there is no issue because this is the locked one.
That's already in play and that rope is staying in position.
In case we cut somewhere up here, there is always enough time for the devices to activate. So also no issue. So we found the most crucial part is if the rope breaks directly above this point, about that device, because the safety margin of rope that we have in here
is literally
between the cut
on the line
of what the fuse needs to activate.
Yep.
So we say best practice for this setup might be locking the device on the downside.
Yeah, and I would say managing, right? In a single line reeve, just make sure that you are managing. So every time that you anticipate a change in direction, be it up or down,
you change
there's
from
a
lock
switching.
to traveling.
That's right.
And to be 100% sure and to add some safety margin for this worst case scenario that we found,
that's right,
we recommend to put some rope protection above the lock device. And actually, in case you want to switch direction every now and then, it's probably
just
easier
to keep it simple.
Just also to reduce potential mistake. Put second rope cover on the other side, so you're always sure, no matter which direction you're going, that
the worst case scenario has now been backed up the length of this rope protection.
Exactly.
Is there a minimum rope protection length that we should consider? I know that it comes down to about 20 centimeters in our tests.
That we need.
Variance.
Yeah, but usually the rope protectors that you can get the minimum 50 centimeters, and this gives you a lot of safety margin, as we saw.
Love it. So, in summary, when using fuses in a single line reeve as backups, two components are crucial. One, ensure that you are utilizing a managed system where you are changing which device is locked depending on which direction the load is moving. Secondly, placing rope protection above the devices, essentially increasing our worst case scenario margin by adding a little bit more rope to the system. I like it. I might just be doing this above single line reeds from here forward anyway.
Thanks, Johnny, for doing
this. Thanks, buddy. That was fun.
Fun for doing that.
Peace.
See ya.